Hello, and welcome to the Research Library video tutorials. In the previous tutorial, titled Footnotes and References, we stepped through the creation of a footnote and discussed the unique design features of the Footnotes and References forms. In this tutorial, titled Strong's Concordance and the Septuagint, we will explore integration of the Greek and Hebrew languages into the Research Library. The Strong's tab contains 4 forms based on the James Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of 1890. This concordance serves as a primary cross-reference between the Hebrew and Greek languages of the King James Version and its English translation. It is useful for cross-referencing other translations as well. Each Strong's number has an associated dictionary entry that contains the transliterated word and phonetic pronunciation of the original language, along with a hyperlinked definition. The top form, called the lexicon form, contains the Hebrew and Greek text of the King James Version based on the Masoretic Hebrew and Stephanus 1550 Greek lexicons. The lexicon and interlinear forms are linked directly to the active verse for quick referencing. The Strong's numbers between the angle brackets are linked to the translation form. Numbers in the translation form are linked to the dictionary form. The numbers in the dictionary form are also linked to each other. The dictionary form contains the Strong's number lookup table. The table opens to the current Strong's number in the dictionary table. Those with raised labels can be sorted by clicking on the labels, and all columns can be filtered. The table now displays only the Greek, which can be sub-filtered. Filter the definition field for the word shortly. The definition field supports the field viewer, which is linked back to the dictionary. Double-click on any raised label column to select a Strong's number for the dictionary window. Here we have access to the search window by simply double-clicking the number. Click the Search button to search for Strong's 2112. Values can be included or excluded. This excludes all results that contain immediately. Filter to exclude other values as needed. The word shortly is found once in 3 John 1:14. We could search directly for results that contain only the word shortly. Let's compare this word shortly in the active verse. These search results open up new avenues of research. For example, the vast time differences between the use of Strong's 50:34 in Acts 25:4 and in Revelation 1:1. These results can also be previewed in the active viewer, which makes them readily available to copy into research papers, articles, and sermons. These web buttons provide access to additional research tools. They are linked to the Strong's numbers of the translation and dictionary form, respectively. These are programmed in parallel to access the 2 Strong's numbers on the same BibleHub.com web page. There are 7 web buttons that can be linked to the active verse. This one, from Study Bible, displays the active verse from many manuscripts and translations. Clicking this button will display the ancient Sinaiticus manuscript and the actual Greek verse when available. Hyperlinked pointers are provided. See the Button Setup Help file for additional information on programming these 17 web buttons. The Septuagint tab displays the 1851 Brenton translation of the Greek Old Testament in side-by-side English and Greek. This tab is independent of the active verse and has its own navigation buttons and tools. Navigation to a particular verse is simple and fast. The current chapter can be previewed in English or Greek. Selection view is also available. This is previewed in the PDF viewer. Click these buttons to synchronize the verses of the Septuagint and the active version. The Septuagint search engine has a full set of search criteria. The search box also contains a user-defined search list, as do all search boxes. The results can be filtered when needed and then previewed in the active viewer. The form also has 7 web buttons that are linked to the current Septuagint verse rather than the active verse. In this example, we will examine Zechariah 14:3 using Strong's Concordance and the Septuagint. The two translations present what appears to be opposite meanings. This button will display the active verse for all locally stored versions. The Darby version tends to agree with the Septuagint, while the others agree with the King James Version. For now, set these aside in a field viewer. Once opened, field viewers are not tied to a particular field. Therefore, any data can be temporarily stored in them. Field viewers also have access to the Format toolbar. These verses can be maintained temporarily in a field viewer or permanently in a note. Web buttons provide access to other analytical tools, such as Septuagint Interlinear referencing. The Strong's number for the word in question is 1722. This web page indicates the word primarily translates to these words. This web page translates similarly. The Strong's Concordance tab will be used for additional analysis. Type G1722 into the search box. 1722 is used over 2,000 times in the New Testament. Only once in the New Testament is the word translated as against, and the context appears dissimilar to the Zechariah 14:3 usage. There are 114 verses that use the word with, but obviously some do not fit. Subfiltering to remove verses containing within leaves 103 verses to examine. This verse appears to have similar context. The historical use of the phrase "with those nations" is not without precedent. This footnote is from a book by Eusebius titled Proof of the Gospel, published around 312 AD, from a section titled Destruction of Judaism. Eusebius acknowledges referencing the Septuagint in the next section titled The Mount of Olives and in other sections as well. In any case, by the early 4th century, Zechariah 14:3 of the Septuagint was interpreted in a manner similar to Breton's 1851 translation. The antiquity of the Septuagint was verified by a Hebrew manuscript found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The availability of this information demonstrates the organizational power and flexibility of the research library. This concludes the Strong's Concordance and Septuagint tutorial. The next research library video tutorial is titled Web Buttons. Thank you for watching.